like fertilizer though. Okay. Ah, there we go. The load detection point is on the side, not at the back. Okay, so that's 3 containers of stuff, and I need to find somewhere to put that. Put our fertilizer back there. I think I'll put the spreader in one of those bays. Big advantage with small tractors is their turn radius. All right. Drop that there. I think maybe time to check the contract market, see what's out there. So 22, 21, spraying. Well, now I've not seen one of those. That's awesome. I don't think I've ever seen a spraying contract in Farm Sim 19 until now. Well, okay. I think I'm gonna do 32 and 35. Okay. 32 and 35. I'll do 35 first, then we'll drop after 32. I mean, they both put us down near the store, so we'll be able to buy some more liquid fertilizer while we're there. And with this get-up, I do have a lot of liquid fertilizer on board. And that's part of the problem I had early on. I had the front and back fertilizers. So, you know, small tank at the front and the fertilizer sprayer that attaches to the back of your tractor. I kind of prefer those because they're easier to control where the boom is. But they only carry a little over 2,000 litres, and some of the fields on this map, I was going to the store 3 times to refill them. But with this setup, we can frequently do an entire field with a full tank. I've run out of tea. I don't recall. It looks like I've got the front loader attachments on this tractor. Yes, I do. I think I added them just in case and then never bothered using them. Because I got the JCB with front loader arms, and since that has 4-wheel steering, it's a little bit more agile to get into those tight spots that this thing isn't quite so much. Then we got the telehandler, so I hardly ever use loader arms on the JCB unless we're selling silage bales at the BGA, in which case I park it down there because it gets there quicker, and I usually need the telehandler on farm every day. Special trailer. Oh yeah, I do remember. It's actually one of my personal games in Farm Sim 17. There was a truck by GTX Modding, which was an AR frame truck, and you could basically stick a number of modules on the back of it. There was a tanker that you could put diesel in. There was a tanker you could put. It might be the same tanker module actually, but you could put fertilizer, liquid fertilizer in. There was an auger wagon you could put seed and solid fertilizer. So I would take a ton of these things out with me, and I was planting every single field. Did I do that wrong? We are doing field 35. No, this one here. Okay. But I would just have this whole convoy of vehicles go out to fields. And I would have all the seed I needed, all the fertilizer I needed, just everything. And I just get everything done in one circuit of the map. And I wouldn't have to go back for any, because you're carrying like 30,000 litres of seed with you in the auger trailer. When I went to Lawfolds, if you ever go to YouTube and watch any of that series, you'll see the AR frame truck in use fairly frequently. And I use it as a seed tender, a fertilizer tender, very rarely for diesel resupply. Normally I'm paying attention and I don't run out, although we do have go away. We do have the fuel trailer on this map because the JCB under a worker ran out of gas at one point, and I had to find a way to get some more diesel to the field, which I wasn't actually planning on. Is this on automatic? This is on automatic. Okay. I don't trust a sprayer or a spreader on a contract field under automatic. I have no idea what rate the fertilizer is expelled, and I don't want it all going in just one small area. We'll do this efficiently. We spread as little as we need to get the contract done. Plus these fields, contract fields still work as base game, although we're playing with seasons. So base game, you would spray or spread twice, and/or with seasons you spray or spread 3 times or fertilize 3 times. But then with precision farming, you can get away with doing it once. So my fields we do once, and all my fields are done. And all the contracts can be done up to 3 times. Looks like I already did this field once on a worker, which is why there's that there. No. It's like the truck I was using today. Let me jump over to our truck. Typically, they're a little bit cheaper than... I jumped right through it. Standard man. There we go. This thing. There's no hook on this, but these modules have legs. So you reverse the truck under it, and then it attaches to the body. It does make the center of gravity a little bit lower than an IT runner, because the IT runner has this, the hook and the big mechanism to move the hook around, which raises the center of gravity and can make the truck a little bit unstable. I actually worked with a company that used trucks similar to this, and basically they would put a truck body at the loading bay. The truck would pull out, pick up a full trunk, and go and do deliveries. When it got back, it would put the empty trunk at the loading bay and pick up a full one. So you needed less trucks to do a job. The company didn't need as many trucks as you would think it needed, because of the flexibility that the AR system provides, and also you don't have the added complication on your truck of the IT or the hook lift. So it's a similar idea, but as I said, it has different advantages and disadvantages. And GTX AR frame system had a lot of modules, a lot of really useful modules. It had a field repair kit. It had a cattle or an animal transport module, and so it had some options that the IT runners just didn't have. And so from a flexibility point of view, I kind of like the AR system. This one has an animal transporter that we've already used. You've got the bale auto loader, or the bale trailer with auto load capability, and we've got the skip that you can put grains in. Those we've actively used on the farm. There are tankers that I could buy a tanker and just run around with this thing and refill on the fly. I am going to need a slurry tank at some point. The problem with this particular AR system is it doesn't double up as a semi-truck. So I can't then attach semi-truck trailers to it. GTX's in Farm Sim 17 did have one of the trucks was an AR truck with a fifth wheel, so you could double up with a semi-trailer if you wanted to. However, on a map like this, semi-trailers are a challenge at times, because the roads aren't very wide and the corners aren't very forgiving, and the field entrances definitely aren't very forgiving. I could probably run a big... thinking about it, trying to sell the sheep with the big semi animal trailer, I don't know how far I'd get with that, especially on the two fields on the farm road approach, where you've got to make a 90-degree turn. There is no forgiveness there at all. Even with the truck we have, what I end up having to do is the gates open in opposite directions. So if I'm coming down the hill, I have to go into the left-hand field, and if I'm going up the hill, I have to go into the right-hand field. Left and right viewed from going downhill. So if I want to go in the left-hand field and I'm going up the hill, I have to pull into the right-hand field, do a U-turn, and then drive straight across into the left-hand field in order to not foul the gates, because they're a single gate, they're a narrow gate, they're a pain in the butt. And a semi-trailer just wouldn't. It probably would, but I'd spend half the day trying to get it to do the thing. How are we doing here? 70% down. Let's cruise is on. That's the wrong button. That's the right button. Oh, we've half done. So, well, not quite half done, but we are going to have some liquid fertilizer left over at the end of this. And we can start doing, I think that field there was the other one. We'll do that one, or we'll start that one. We'll then fill the tanks up. Probably only get 2 IBCs, which will only fill it up to 4,000. Finish that off. I may top off the tank at the store again before we go back to the farm. Again, purchase of the spreader has stuck us back below 400,000. Day 8 of late spring. So we have... I was pleasantly surprised that the clover was ready this morning. Because, was it this morning or yesterday? Yesterday. Because that definitely means I'm going to get 3 cuts this year. Normally I've only managed 2. Usually I think the first year, early summer was when I could manage the first cut, thus early fall was the second cut, and the clover dies in the winter, so I don't get a third cut out. But this year we've actually got the first cut in spring, so that means late summer's going to be the second cut, late fall is the third cut, and that's good. That's more income for the farm and more stuff, digestate for the fields if I need it. Again, since switching to precision farming, I haven't used nearly as much digestate as I used to. Obviously, to make what was it, three harvests a year, not 3 harvests, 3 fertilization stages with seasons. I would put oilseed radish down, we'd plough that up, we'd put down digestate, then we'd plant the crop and probably spray it once it started growing. And that was typically a cycle. So yeah, lots and lots of work to do. You had to get the oilseed radish down in fall. You had to truck a absolute ton of digestate. You had to manufacture tons of silage to produce that. I mean, not that I'm complaining, the silage does make a good amount of money, but it was a lot of work. With precision farming, because of the variable nitrogen requirements of the different crops, I'm not doing quite so much. Occasionally on a high demand crop like wheat or corn or something like that, I will do, if possible, oilseed radish, plough that in, straight out with the digestate, and then plant the crop, and then further fertilize it. Sorry, no, yeah. Even with a high nitrogen crop, especially if I've depleted the nitrogen in the field with the previous crop. So I will still do that, but for most of the crops, the nitrogen demand is not as significant, and so I can get away with, if I'm planting a spring crop, I'll put oilseed radish in after the harvest, and then leave it till spring, plough it in and plant the new crop. If I'm planting a winter crop, I will put digestate down after the harvest and plant that before winter. And that pretty much takes care of most of the nitrogen requirements for the crops I'm growing. And typically I'm not growing corn. We did grow it last year because I needed maize to test out whether the sheep would take the maize. Problem with this particular map is actually there are a couple of issues with this map. The first one is the farm silos only take the base game crops, and they've added additional crops to the map. So there's triticale, spelt and rye. You can't put those in the silos, which I think might have been a little bit of an oversight on design. You would want all of the crops you can grow to be able to be put into the farm silos. So a little bit of an oversight, but yeah, I'll let it go. Plus there's mods. I've got multi-fruit silo extension on my farm, so I can store the triticale, spelt and rye. But it would have been nice to just be able to store it on the farm without doing that. The other oversight was I'm using Maize Plus, which this map has been modified for, which means that the sheep have a more varied diet. They require onions, or is it onions or carrots? One of those two, or sugar beets. They require some form of grass or clover silage, some form of grass or clover hay, and either clover, fresh maize, or grass. Now, fresh maize is just foraged corn. We figured that out. So that's what I produced last year. And part of that is because grass doesn't survive over the winter. So I could cut grass and bale it at the end of the fall, late fall. But it's going to decay in 3 days. So I'm playing a 9-day 9-day season. So 3 days for early, mid and late of each season. I would not have any grass left mid-winter to feed the sheep, and there's not going to be any grass to cut until mid-spring. So that's 3 seasonal periods, basically 3 months that I would not have grass for the sheep, and it's their most productive period, so I kind of want them fully fed. We did try to feed them clover, and they wouldn't accept it. The food troughs don't accept clover, in spite of the fact it's a food. It's an optional food source for the sheep. So that's another annoyance with this map, that you can't feed the sheep clover. Because I had I decided, well, since they do clover hay and clover silage, I might as well turn the farm sort of grass product type fields to clover, because they accept it all, and clover doesn't decay over time or in with weather. So clover lasts forever, but clover's not any use to me because they don't eat it, or the map's not set up that they accept it. But outside of that, I got no complaints about the map. It's sort of niggling things that, there's workarounds, but it would have been nice if. How are we doing now? We are 83%. But not a problem. We've learnt things, and we're progressing as is. Biggest problem I have, which isn't anything to do with this map, is keeping the sheep productivity up with cleanliness levels over winter. When it snows, you can't shovel the grass up. Or at least you can't shovel the grass up and use it, which would be nice. Just shovel up the grass, stick it in the trough, because the sheep will take the grass and they produce it when they make a mess at the trough. But when it snowed, the snow and the grass just mutually destroy each other, and you end up with nothing. But as I said, that's not a problem with this map. That's just a problem I have with all of the mods that I'm playing with. And there's other things I've learned that I didn't realise before. Great demand for eggs, don't hatch chickens. The forage harvester, if you are using a forage harvester header that can harvest grass, then running along the edge of the field can be a problem, because the grass will interfere with the crop that you're harvesting. So in my case, I was harvesting corn or with the forage harvester, and what I ended up with is, along the edge of the field, I would end up with the forage harvester seizing up because it had pulled in some grass and it wasn't able to unload the grass. So you either have to paint a margin around the field of just plain dirt so that there's no chance that you'll catch the adjacent crop of grass, or you need to err on the side of staying in the crop field and leaving strands of corn around the edge of the field that you can't get to because grass is there as well. But that's also a thing. That's a thing with harvesters. If you're harvesting, if you plant a mixed field of soybeans and canola, and then run a harvester through it, the harvester doesn't like changing crops halfway, and that can be a problem. It can destroy the crop, I think, sometimes. And with FarmSim 22, the forage headers are now... There is an acorn header and then an everything else header, whole crop silage header. It's... there's a mowing header and there's a chopper, and they do all the crops. I think the mower does grass, which the chopper can't do. But the chopper will do all the crops: wheat, barley, anything you can forage, the chopper can do. So, but if you're using the mower, obviously, to do a whole crop harvest, running down the edge of the field, it's gonna, the harvest will get interfered with the grass. Okay, we are back on cruise again. We're done.